Good morning, everyone. This is Emily from Grammy's Garden. This is a sink full of beets getting ready to be pickled. I've got them washed. This is a third time to soak them, and I'll wash them one more time, and then I'll boil them. These are really interesting beets for me. These are yellow beets, and then I have a few carrots in here. We've had 4 or 5 nights of really cold weather, like 20 degrees, and then during the daytime it's barely gotten out of the freezing. These are also some interesting heirloom carrots they're called Uzbek carrots. So I assume they're from Uzbekistan. I think I did look that up. So this is my starting process of, I got them out of the ground. It had already frozen, so some of the tops were damaged, and I cut those off. And you want to cut them back anyway about this length, and that's about, for this one, this is about 1.5 inches, because when I saw damage, then I went ahead and cut that off. Then I'll be placing these in water to boil, and I'll boil them, and then I'll put them into some cool water, and that'll help me just slip the skins off. I will cut the tops off and cut the root off, and we'll have pickled beets. I'll go ahead with the pickling solution that I'm going to use and a little bit of the process. Okay, I have my beets here simmering. I'm going to turn this back up. I turned it down a little bit because it said the recipe I'm using is from a really old ball canning book that was my mother's. So she used it back in the 1950s and 60s. Anyway, these are boiling. When they get to the point that I can pierce them easily with a fork, and these are they're starting to get there. Let me see if I can show you a little better. If I can nail one of them. And here's a big one, and it's just barely going in. So I'm going to just let them keep on boiling until these are simmering, until they get to be that soft. Now let's check these guys out, because once these are that tender, what I'm going to do is take them over to my sink and put them in water, cold water, and then when they cool a bit, I'll slip off the skins, and the skins will just slip off. I didn't think I would have to put on gloves with red beets. I put on gloves because of the fact that they will stain your hands so badly. But with these yellow beets, I thought they wouldn't. But can you see that yellow forming? That's what's inside them. Next, this is a process that I'm getting ready. This has got vinegar, sugar, water, and cloves. And this is the brine that I'll cover these in before I water bath.
This recipe
and
is
I'll be bringing
3
this
cups
to boil
of vinegar,
once I have these beets
2
here.
cups of water,
I'm going to turn these up again.
a cup of sugar,
Once I have these beets
a
in the
teaspoon
cool
of
water,
salt,
getting ready to prepare them
and I
for the
put
jars.
cloves to
Again,
taste,
over
knowing that I
here,
like lots of clove.
bear with me here.
You
I
can
spread
put
everything
in
out on my
about
cabinets.
a half
So
a
here I've
tablespoon
got
of
my
clove
jars washed,
into that brine.
very clean, rinsed in very hot water. And down in here you will see that I also have onion, because pickled onion is just delicious. And with our brine that we have going here, I think I said that I also have cloves in there. Now I put a little more cloves. I think my recipe from the ball canning book said like a tablespoon of allspice. I don't use that. You use what you think is best. I'm just showing the process. I'm not saying this is the only recipe, that's for sure. But this is what I used this spring on my red beets, and it turned out great. So next step, when we get that to that point, I'm going to show you how I slip these skins off, how I put them in the jars, and then how we brine them, put them in the water bath, and we'll be having some pickled beets this winter. Okay, so I've got the 5 pints that I thought I would have. It made a little bit more than that, and I may take a few of these out because I want 1 inch of headspace. So I'm going to take this one out. I'm going to put it in my syrup over there because I'm going to let that just kind of pickle, and I'll have that for lunch. If you watch my videos, you know that I'm a waste nut person. Also, I need more head space than what this has given me. I want at least a 1/2 inch of head space. So these are getting ready. I'm going to put the lids on.
I don't wipe the lids
And I'm
down.
gonna wipe
I
the
wipe
lids
the
down
rims of the jars
with
down.
just a clean cloth or paper towel with some vinegar on it in case there's any syrup like on the edge, because I want a good seal. And then I'm going to place the lids down like this, and then the rings, and I'm going to do it finger tight. Finger tight means that I'm not going to get any wrist action in that. You know, I'm just going to do it, tighten it with my fingers. So from there, we'll go into here. And I've got this water soaked deep enough, and it's simmering so that whenever I let this down into the canner, the water will cover the top about 1 to 2 inches on all of these jars. And I'll be letting them be boiling at a full boil for 30 minutes, and then they'll be ready to take the lid off and come out of the canner. They'll be pickled beets. And aren't they beautiful? The sun's shining in the window. Look at the color on these things. This is going to be fun to eat. Okay, here are the pints of beets. Wow, the steam coming off of those. They're finished. I've taken the lid off. Here's the lid over here. I've taken the lid off. I processed them for 30 minutes. And I'm going to turn my stove off here. And I'm going to let these just cool down a little bit and start taking them out. I've got these tongs right here that I use to take them out, but I have to have 2 hands to do that, and I'm doing this with 1 hand today. So anyway, because I want to just give a quick little video on this process. So I'll take them out. I'll set them over here on a towel. This is a different towel than I had out earlier where I was draining the jars on and all that. This towel is warm, and because it's warm, I can take these hot jars and place them on this. When you're canning foods, you need to be aware you don't want to set a hot jar of food onto a cold surface because you can cause the jar to crack. You don't want that to happen. Waste all your really goodness that you've got going on. So here we are, and after they're out, I will show it to you and be back. Okay, everyone, here's the end results of the pickled beets, the pickled yellow beets. They've all sealed. I'm going to get this where you can see the indentation on the lids. You can see it in the far one in the back here. That indentation, and they all have it, has shown that they have all sealed, and that means they're good to go. Now I let them sit for 24 hours, then I take the rings off. I test them to see. I lift them up and test them to see, to make sure they're going to hold after I've taken the rings off, and then that way I could store these things sitting one on top of another. Another thing is, if you leave the rings on, you sometimes can't tell that you have a faulty jar. So I go ahead and take them off. So the difference between yellow beets and red beets is just there's less of the color that drains out when you're cooking them. They do drain this beautiful yellow color, but the red stains my hands and the yellow color didn't do that. You all have a wonderful day. It's very cold here where I'm at. It's just going to get colder. We're supposed to have snow tomorrow. So I got these out of the ground just in time. You all have a good day. Have a nice cup of something warm.